The farmer in the dell, the farmer in the dell. Hi-ho, the dairy-o, the farmer in the dell. Alright, so actually, no one was going to sing to you, but I'm going to be here as he waits patiently for the bathroom. And I wanted to turn you to page 16. This is where the start of my piece in this particular zine is. It goes until 27, and I'm going to read just a few paragraphs for you tonight. And actually, the section I'm reading from is not even about farming. Next, Nancy asked me to caretake John's mother, who is 94 and had been in hospice for a year and a half. Hospice is supposed to be a program for the elderly not expected to live longer than 6 months. I agreed to work Sundays, then met Irma. She looked so frail, I was intimidated to even touch her. I wasn't sure I was ready for the responsibility, but felt I couldn't back down. Nancy told me I could read to her all I wanted, a perk for the creative writing major. Otherwise, we watched Jeopardy! Or I'd be in the kitchen preparing toast or tea or prunes. I really wanted to take her outside because I wondered when the last time that had happened was, but I quickly learned how hard it was to move her from her chair to her bed or to the toilet in time, or to help her dress, or to help her get comfortable at all. There was barely time to read aloud. By the third Sunday, I was getting smoother, so we went on a trip to the mailbox and back. Nancy told me how much Irma loved having a young woman around. Like Nancy, Irma talked to me constantly, but talked so quietly I couldn't hear her. She liked me because I was gentle with her. I took her mumblings to heart, too. So, I probably should have told you where I was in this story before I just jumped in.
It made me listen down.
But now I'll continue. All right. I believed her when she said someone had stolen her.
Tell us where you were.
She brought it up. Well, since you asked. Okay, so 2007, I took a break from school and I thought I was gonna be done forever, and then I started interning on farms, and I ended up in Ohio, and I was there for a summer. So this piece is about my time on that farm, and I'm very focused on most meaningful things to me. That's what this story is about. It's a memoir piece, and yes, I hope that's enough. It really isn't, is it? Alright, so I looked in her hiding places for her. I gave her ice cream and other snacks she asked for that Nancy asked me not to give her. I felt her tremble in my body when she cried. Each Sunday I was going back to my tent exhausted without dinner. I didn't want to interact with the farmers who I felt were making me do this work. I fell asleep scheming how I would get out of this job. By late August, the rains were more constant and my tent was never really dried out. My sense of appreciation for the farm was eroding with my personal space. This climaxed for me one night during an intense electrical storm. I had never seen lightning like this in Seattle, not where it would flash twice a minute. I felt my nerves burning out of control and desperately wanted to escape to somewhere safer, but I was too scared to leave my tent for fear I would be struck down mid-run. Though I tried to remind myself I was kind of surrounded by trees, I couldn't calm down and certainly couldn't fall asleep. Has anybody here been in Ohio and seen the electrical storms?
You were never that.
I was just curious.
No, but I feel like I've been there.
Thank you. I need that. After an hour of that, with my emotions fried, I made a run for Ben's cabin. Ben was Nancy's Desert Storm veteran son, the other farmhand. He didn't do as much work as me because he had health issues and also knew how to work his mother. Though I coveted his free time, I was glad he was around because he was closer to my age by a decade. Though we had little in common and hardly talked, he sided with me occasionally, such as when he convinced Nancy to let me borrow her bike so I could get away from the farm when I needed to. She didn't want to let me borrow it at first, though. She never rode it herself. She didn't know me well enough. So I rushed into Ben's cabin at 2 in the morning, grateful for his receptive kindness. He wasn't bothered I woke him up and offered me a back massage. He was a massage therapist, Desert Storm veteran. As he rubbed me calm, I started to release some of my emotional frustrations about feeling overworked, my issues with Irma, and how I was getting sick of the damp tent. Ben offered some advice. Reminded me Sunday is a day of rest and no one's forcing me to work. And as for better sleeping conditions, why not check out the old sauna? It was very dry in there, although the door wouldn't close all the way, but an extension cord could be routed from the main house to plug in a stereo or a lamp. I thought it was worth a try too. So I'm going to leave it at that. And if you want me to keep going, you can pick up a copy of the zine and find out what happens next in the sauna.